Hi guys, and welcome back to another video of mine for Transnation eSports Sunday Morning Nationals. This was from today, and what an eventful race I had. Bit of backstory though. First of all, sorry for the how we're starting this video. The clip length that I had of this race only started on lap 2, but it's not too bad because we had an early race safety car. But yeah, bit of backstory. I was actually starting from the back as last weekend I got a qualifying ban for ruining someone else's qualifying lap accidentally. So that meant I had to start from the very back at Brazil, which is never great, especially in this rainy weather, which was really hard to manage. But anyway, eventually we were back to racing again, and I was placed behind this Alfa Romeo of Bell. I'll never be able to pronounce that right. But he goes for a crazy move down the inside, but so does the McLaren of Ethan Lossing there. He actually does an almighty dive on us, and he loses traction, doesn't get a very good line, and I get this position right back from the McLaren. And now it was time to make a move on the Alfa Romeo. I go for a big lunge there, braking very late and having a bit of a lock-up. Thankfully, the ghosting prevented damage for either of us. Bit of a bump and run, must admit, but got it done anyway. Then Johnny Stokes goes for a move on Thierry, gives him a bit of a nudge, but has to go wide, and that awards us a free P6 there. Absolutely stole it from the Ferrari that made a mistake. But now it was the chase for Thierry, one of my competitors, really good driver to battle with in this tier, really respectful and very fast driver. I get right up close to his gearbox here, really lucky not to take each other out there, but as usual, pretty clean racing. I was battling him for a couple laps, but it wasn't until lap 8 that I actually had a crack at him. D'Amalio up ahead makes a bit of a mistake, but I finally had the pace to have a crack at Thierry here, and coming onto the DRS straight, it was my perfect opportunity. He didn't get the best run out of there, so I take a bit of curb. DRS activated, got plenty of ERS to play with as well, so I go for a move down the inside, braking as late as I can, very slight lockup, and kind of force him wide there. Not much else I could do, and it was a reasonably clean move. There wasn't a whole lot of contact. Later on, however, I'm right on the back of the racing point of, I think his name's Eduardo. Go for a huge dive there and take a lot of curb, but I got a really big right front lock up there, which kind of caused me to have to stay back. But this wasn't over yet, so I go for another dive, risky dive into this corner, and take as much curb as I really could at all. Eventually, I was right on the back of him once again on the next lap as we enter the S's again, and I go for a move around the outside, regret it, cut back onto the inside, and go for a dive on it in the same spot, this time a bit more successfully, ghosting through him a bit there, and he gives me a nudge right on back, so good Robbins racing, stuttered. And this time he goes defensive because he knows I was going to make a move there, but he stutters, he goes and really stuffs up that corner, which allows me to go down the inside. He's still holding the outside, but I managed to cut back into that position, so that's me up into P4. Now it was the chase for D'Amalio, and these two Mercedes just seemed like they were just out of reach. It just couldn't seem to grab them. But soon enough, I was right on the back of D'Amalio, who is one of my competitors in the championship. Not really, just a good driver to go up against at the moment. And I seem to love this spot for dives, and he leaves a lot of room compared to Eduardo. Gives me a nudge, though, on the exit of that corner, which sends me really wide, and he gives me a nudge. D'Amalio's just bumped me, giving me damage. But it wasn't long at all before D'Amalio was right once again up my gearbox. He goes for a dive into the final corner there, and forces me a bit wide. Now I have wing damage, which really is not helping me here on a track like Brazil that requires a decent amount of downforce, and he goes for a move around the outside. I go defensive, hold the inside line because I know that's probably the most important line to hold. He gets around, but I brake super late, have a huge lockup, and force him wide. Probably my worst mistake of that race, and really caused D'Amalio to go extremely wide. Just this wet weather, it's so easy to have a lockup around here in Brazil. But later on though, it was time for a pit stop. Now it was not wet enough to come in for the inters, so I pit onto the mediums. This would later become my tyre that goes until a late game safety car. In this one, man. keep our hopes up. We're still in this. So, a successful pit stop there from the Red Bull boys, but a couple laps later, a contender in mind once again. Familiar name, Thierry, right on the back of me, goes around the outside, very similar to what D'Amalia did only a couple laps ago. At this time, Thierry gets the move done clean. I give him a little bit of a nudge there, nothing too bad. None of us got any damage or lost out from it at all. And we got ahead of the guys that were in the pits after us. So, yeah, me and Thierry benefiting from that. But then he started crawling away from me, and I really just didn't like this, so I knew it was time to push. A couple laps time. On lap 23, I knew it was time for a move. Overtake, Rich. Pretty much means I'm fast in a straight line. DRS with that, absolutely flying up to that Williams. And I go for a dive into turn 1. Let's see what I can do here. Give him a bit of a nudge on his rear left. And manage to get that move done clean. But it's not over yet. Going on to the DRS straight, he could have done anything. But then there's a huge crash between the two guys. TP and Eduardo just took each other out. I'm going for the softs. I'm going for softs. I'm going for softs. Wing off. Wing on. Get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out. Yes. Yes. Okay. Alright, look out. 2! 1-2! 1-2! Yes! 1-2! Let's go! Yes! 1-2! 1-2! That's the best race of my life! That's the best race of my entire life!